Everywhere you look in a great modern city like London, you're surrounded by evidence of man's extraordinary cultural achievements, his resourcefulness, his technology. But if you project yourself back through all the layers of the past to our earliest history, you'll find that it all stems from one fundamental, extraordinary human attribute: the desire, the impulse to create. This is Leonardo da Vinci's Virgin of the Rocks, and it's one of the greatest paintings of the entire Renaissance. It was made 500 years ago, which might seem like a long time, but in the overall span of human creativity, it's really just the blink of an eye. And to find the origins of this creative impulse, you have to go back deep into our history.
These are the oldest representations of the world around us that we know.
Art has always been the place in which human hopes and fears are most powerfully held, and we need it just like we need food.
And opening this week, an exhibition at the British Museum shines a light on our ancient artistic heritage.
Wow.
We've got objects coming that are 40,000 years old. This is our deep history.
I'm in northern Spain at the mouth of the Castillo Cave, and it's one of the most amazing archaeological sites anywhere in the world, because here excavation has revealed a full 20 meters of deposits, and what that establishes is the fact that there was human habitation here and Neanderthal habitation from 100,000 years ago to roughly 2000 BC. That's a 98,000 year unbroken span. And deep within the bowels of the cave itself, there's some fascinating evidence about the very earliest origins of human creativity. Wow, it's dark. So this is the first chamber of the cave complex, marked out by that wonderful yellow ochre drawing of a bison. Isn't that fantastic? But that's not actually why this slab of rock is famous. Here in Spain they call it el panel de los manos, the panel of the hands. And that's because it's got these amazing stenciled handprints. That's a left hand which has reached up to the cave, and then paint has gone around it to leave the ghostly shadow of the hand of one of our distant ancestors. There's some more. Oh, look up here. You need to get a very firm footing. You see? You've got to be really careful. Look at that. That's a really clear one. And it's quite small. So one archaeologist did some studies of these hands, measured the fingers, measured the width of the wrists, and concluded that a lot of these handprints were actually created by women. Which is very suggestive. It suggests perhaps that, you know, the caste of artists, those who created images on caves, were, well, certainly some of them were women. They're reaching out, these hands. What are they looking out for. So we'll never know. It's so moving. It's so moving. Now, what's remarkable about these? Well, it's only fairly recently been revealed by advances in contemporary science, contemporary dating. They can establish pretty precisely the antiquity of these handprints. The bottom line is that this handprint, that handprint, those handprints were all left here by men and women 37,000 years ago. But to put that into some kind of context, that's, if you think of ancient Greece as being antiquity, that's 35 and more thousand years before Periclean Athens came into existence. And it's a simple fact of mathematics and genetics that every single human being in the world today is directly, by blood, by direct lineage, descended from the person who created that handprint. You are almost touching your own origins. It's really the DNA of all of us, and it's the DNA of human creativity.
That's what's so fascinating about these is the age. Because there are no written records and because the other archaeological evidence is so slight, we have to imagine and ask ourselves, why would people whose brains are exactly like ours do this? Why would they make these things?
You need to go on a journey to get there, which is challenging for us today, would have been challenging for them. Now, that tells you they're going down there for something profound, which must be some profound ritual activity, something to do with the ideological systems.
Ah, here we are, yeah. This already claustrophobic recess-like chamber is just beyond the panel of the hands. And what we seem to have here, it's pretty unusual. Cave painting is, famously figurative, images of bison, reindeer, animals. But here what we seem to have is a kind of abstract art gallery, art cave, with these forms made of line and dot and block. In some ways, reminds me a little bit of modern abstract art in the sense that forms this schematic, diagrammatic, the block, the line, the blob, they seem to me to require explanation just as modern abstract art often requires explanation. It requires someone to be the keeper of the secret, someone who reveals the secret. And I wonder, given the intimacy of this space, I wonder if this wasn't some kind of cave of storytelling. I wonder if each of these images didn't represent perhaps some kind of mnemonic key that would trigger an event, a narrative, a chapter in a story, an episode, an adventure that would then be retold in this space.
You might want to think that the whole art is some form of tribal memory, tribal encyclopedia, that somehow facilitates passing on of further knowledge from generation to generation. And it's very much like we use art today, I think, in a sense. It's a mental anchor.
Do you think that within the group there is the specialised figure of the artist?
Often, you've got this perfect line, just one line, and it captures the animal so brilliantly. It's difficult to imagine that this isn't somebody who has developed particular skill and is particularly valued for that skill and expressive ability.
The most famous, vividly figurative cave paintings are sadly no longer accessible. Easily damaged by exposure to human breath, they've been closed for their own protection. But some of the most remarkable subterranean art can still be found, hiding in plain sight.
Now, some of the subtlest, most extraordinary cave images are really easy to miss, and this is a great example of one. You see here, what we've got is the image of a bison's head as it leans forward to graze, just created in these simple red lines. There's the horn, there's the eye, there's the muzzle. It's a bison leaning forward. Now you might think that that was an incomplete painting or a 9/10 damaged or lost cave painting, but no, those are and were the only lines formed by the artist, because what he's found, what he's seen in the stone itself, is the image of the bison, and the rest of the image is made by the rock. All he's had to do is to draw that head, because look, if you follow that line, there's the great arch of the bison's neck, there's its hump, there's its great back, descending to the hind quarters. And look at this, there's the front leg, almost with its sinews and its tendons and its hoof shaped by the malformations of the rock. And there, look at the great swelling belly of the beast. So they've looked, it's almost as if they've looked for the animal in the rock itself. They've found it, and then they've revealed it just with a few lines. What economy of means. It shows us how sophisticated their visual sensibility was. To me, that is a great work of art. But so easy just to miss, so easy just to walk straight past it without even seeing it.
This was drawn 22,000 years ago. That's 16,000 years after the handprints.
Here in Castillo Cave, we have got the oldest dates for rock art, for Paleolithic rock art.
When do you think they began to see animals in these shapes of rock?
I think that starts from the very beginning of the art, because the natural shapes of the walls, they suggest to the artist the representation of the animals.
I mean, we don't know about their belief systems, but do you think it's possible that they thought that this was where it all began?
Yeah.
That everything came from here?
Yeah, no, that's possible. That's possible. In all our historical tradition, the caves were the places of supernatural things, of ghosts, monsters, and things like that. No, so for the prehistoric people, these caves, this very deep cave, it will be associated with the myths. This kind of motifs, they lie at the very beginning of the symbolic expression of humans.
What's your name? Ryan, I'm Andrew. I'd shake hands with you, but you're a bit green. Go on, try it on there. Try putting it. Yeah! That's a great one. The impulse to make a mark seems to be as old as mankind. But the big question is, what does this unique, innate ability to create and appreciate art, what does that give us as a species?